Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lostlikemike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. I'm actually not too bad this week. I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty excited about doing this episode, getting another one in the books. This is actually the 16th episode, right? So it's episode 15, but as we remember, we did an episode 0 because we did a beta episode to make sure everything was uploading and worked and whatever. And we might just want to decide on saying that was just a beta episode and call this episode 15. Well, it is episode 15. I'm just saying, like, I get tired of going back and explaining why this is episode. This is episode 16 that we have. It's episode 15, but 16th in. You see what I mean? Why I hate calling it that. Okay, so it's episode 15th. God, am I tired? What is happening? It is episode 15. The 15th episode. The 16th ever recorded. Ooh, off to a great start, everybody. I'm gonna have to wash this blanket. So off camera, I just opened a bottle of drink and it got a little feisty. Okay, well, anyway, how's everybody doing? Thank you for listening, subscribing, commenting, acknowledging in a positive way, telling friends, and coming back and visiting from time to time to have this conversation with me. What a week. Today was good. I did my weekly breakfast with the family. It's become a staple of my life, and I'm very much enjoying it. As a matter of fact, my brother, who has not been able to attend until today, came out. So I had not seen him. I had not seen him since my father died. Is that right? And I had not spoken to him since my brother died, but I had not seen him since my father died. So it's been a minute. Very happy to see him. We had a good time. My mom was mentioning how it's the laughter that kind of makes it so much fun, or like is what we most need, is the laughing. And I agree. But there's something tethering to seeing family. And sort of connects you to the earth, to that conversation with each other and catching up, and it's like gives validity to your existence. Like, I don't know, there's the connections that family has, can't really argue it. I did not mess with these lights at all, and for some reason they're all over the place, which means nothing to the people that are just listening to it. But if you're watching it on YouTube, I just noticed how towering my light fixture was, and I had chosen now to adjust it instead of before I started. But it was bittersweet. We catching up is a lot of fun, and it's good, and it makes you feel like everything's going to be all right. I did find out that my friend, um, my best friend from high school, from 8th grade to, the first half of my high school career before we all had our growth spurts and change. But one of my best friends, um, passed away. And it's weird because um, I was telling a story to my brother who I hadn't seen in a while. And because I was making a joke about, I'm trying to connect the dots here. So my sister was talking about the difference in the way that guys fight and girls fight. And I could not begin to tell you why we were talking about that. It was and that I'm not, it was just a statement. Okay. The statement was, my sister said, well, there's a lot more hair pulling when girls fight. That was all that was said. So I was telling a story that I think I've said on the podcast before, of being in the 8th grade and sitting at lunch with my friend, eating bugles and drinking soda while this big fight was going on with all these different factions in my middle school. The headbangers and the lowriders and the jocks and just different, groups that were tussling on the lunch break, and how we were just leaning on the rails by the basketball courts and eating bugles and chips, drinks. So I was telling that story because of the hair wafting in the air from the girls fighting, which was the connection to the story that my sister was saying. So I was going to tell that story, but this time, when I was telling the story in front of my brother, I said his name, my friend's name, and I said, "Do you remember them?" Because they lived in our neighborhood, right? And my brother said, "Yes, I do. I still talk to his sister. And did you know he died?" And that's how it came up. So why I even said his name, in the context of the story, I don't know. But I told him it must have been why I said it, because I had no idea that he passed. And I think about friends like that all the time, because it's not like I'm a saint now. It's not like I have anything additionally figured out that I've obviously have learned a thing or two. But when I look back on who I was, a lot of times I think of just how ignorant I was. When you're young, you don't have it all figured out, and you don't know how to treat people, and you don't know how to be. And you always think that, or at least I do, have this impression that I'll be able to get a do-over, or have my tour of penance, and what do they call that in 12-step, where you go around and you apologize for your transgressions, and um, you know, I came up Catholic, so I'm very aware of the idea of paying for your sins. But anyway, the reason I say that is because more often than not, when I would think of him and think of how we were, I think, I would think maybe one day I would see him again and apologize for not being a better friend. It's kind of a sad notion. Plus, he's pretty young to die, and of course, it was a COVID-related death. When it comes to the random, didn't see that one coming, that seems to be associated with that more often than not. So, although it was great seeing the family and it was kind of a bummer to receive that news. If you're watching on YouTube, I took the label off my drink. It's cute, right? Like it matters. Oh, man. My voice is not 100%, obviously. It did get me thinking about something. The other night I finished a show the other day. I believe it was last week. I had a really rough week about it. The idea, there's nothing more depressing than to not be able to express your talent or express what you do, what you enjoy doing, to the level that you are used to. It's upsetting. But and one of the things is there's no rhyme or reason. If I had sort of an understanding of why it's happening and an expectation to solve it, then I wouldn't be so upset. But it's been weeks of this, and I just can't shake it. And I'm pretty sure it's because there's no consistent break. Either I'm at work and I'm constantly talking, or I'm doing shows, and rest is not as consistent as it should be. Anyway, but it was kind of getting to me, and after a show during the afternoon, I felt especially sort of caught up in my own thoughts about it. And I park in a parking garage downtown that I play. After we play the shows, I have to walk to my car. But my cousin Vince, who I perform with he's my partner in crime, so to speak. He has various transportation situations set up, so he'll get dropped off or he'll take an Uber or whatever. He's got his own thing, right? Well, on this day, he was getting picked up. And his boy, his youngest boy, got out of the car. He saw me walking down the street, hops out of the car, and he comes over and he does like this awkward handshake slap, you know what I mean? Like wants to shake my hand. And I smile with it. I was like, hey, how you doing? I go for that. And he kind of does like this side hug. And then he goes in for a regular hug. Super caught me off guard. And I was reminded of it today because when I was walking out to the car, I saw him again. And he did it again. But I can't even tell you, you can't like put a sign on you or saying, you know what I mean? Like, I can't wear a hat that says, you know, sure could use a hug. But you know, this, and I don't see that. That's, I guess it's an important part of the story. I don't hang out with family, extended family, cousins, so on. So, as much as I should, or, in other words, we don't like this kid coming out and giving me a hug. It's kind of it's kind of like out of the ordinary in a good way. But I guess that's what startled me about it, was that idea that, you know, I see him in passing when it comes to this kind of stuff. We, you know, literally just walking by the car and waving at them, saying, hey, you know, how's it going? But so you never know when when you're doing a kindness to somebody else, like how bad they need it, you know. I guess that's my point, because it changed the dynamic of my entire evening and night, where I was barely hanging on, just really crapping on myself and not feeling really good about the performance, and not really feeling positive. And then I get this hug, and I'm like, I smiled all the way to the car, put me in a better mood. I don't know. It was all around a cool thing. But you got to look for those kind of things. And it's interesting. I saw this. I was listening to Joe Rogan. I don't know why I seem to. I like Rick Rubin. He did this podcast with Lex Friedman. I thought it was months ago. Might have been, but when he referenced it as being not so long ago. But when he talked about collaborating with the universe. And my interpretation of it was that you're having an awareness of the universe, right? So like an intuitive sort of, you're listening for signals from the universe to participate in your own way. It reminded me of our discussion on the podcast a week or two ago about signs and being aware of the world trying to communicate with you, like the collective consciousness of all things sort of letting you know that you're on the right path, or that things are that you're on the right wavelength, or what have you. And a little bit more of following your gut instinct, and so I felt like there were some parallels with what I've been thinking about, or what we were talking about in the past of doing that. I just didn't call it collaborating with the universe. I saw it more as listening to your gut, and being motivated by your instinct and by intuition, as much as anything else. Sort of allowing yourself to be open to that, right? And I'll tell you a series of events, and then we can talk about it as far as what it means. So I was listening to that as I was driving to the grocery store, because I was going to go to the grocery store to pick up distilled water. My wife was going to run the humidifier, and she's been dealing with some bronchitis and upper respiratory stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's connected to this, what's going on with my throat, and there's probably some doctor saying, well, of course, No, but anyway, I'm just saying. So I was on my way to the grocery store, listening to Collaborating with the Universe and watching out for signs, etc. Right? So I get to this small grocery store, not one of the big chains, but I went to a smaller grocery store in my small town. And I go over to the water section, and I notice that there's very little water. Okay? So I see one row of gallon bottles of water, all with these similar blue labels. And I see drinking water, drinking, all in one line, right? Drinking. And then one of them says distilled within the same line of water bottles. And I said, whoop, the universe is watching out for me. Cool. Like, apparently this must be for me, right? And then I think, what if it's a mislabeled bottle and it's supposed to say drinking water, but they put the wrong sticker on it because it's in the same section as the drinking water. And maybe I'm having this thought right now because the universe is telling me to be aware that that could be the possibility. Don't be dumb. And then I look down and there's a section of a different brand, but it's all these distilled water bottles. I said, oh, hell. Well, I guess I'm going to get this one because they're all distilled water, right? So I think, hey, you know what? Maybe all of that was meant to happen so that I could stay in the area and then get this anyway. So then I head over to pay. And then I said, I got it. The universe wants me to play the scratch and win lottery tickets. Because I thought about it right now. And I have money in my wallet. There's a machine right there. And you know what? It was in my mind. I said I would be willing to go to the grocery store. So perhaps I'm meant to be here at this moment to go put money in that machine and get her lottery ticket. So then I go to the lottery machine and I'm looking at it's very colorful because that's what attracts people to the machine and gets us to spend our money. But I see all these colors and I put in $5 and it takes the $5. And then I see a ticket, a $10 ticket. It caught my eye. And I said, universe, I hear you. That's the ticket I'm supposed to buy. So then I get another $5 bill out. I feed it into the machine and I'm already pushing the button for the $10 ticket. And then zoop, it kicks out that $5 bill. So then I think, wait, was the universe the one that told me to pick that ticket and to put in the money? Or is it now telling me, no, we don't want you to get that ticket. I'm going to kick your money out. Or is it asking me to persevere and not to give up and to re-put the $5 back in and be determined to get that ticket? I'll flash forward. I bought the ticket, put the $10 ticket, and I didn't win. So interesting factoid. So I used to be addicted, so to speak, I had an addiction. I used to be addicted to playing scratch and win lottery tickets. The only reason why it was not a negative addiction was because I would win more than I would lose. But it got to the point where, and I'll explain while I'm saying this right now, because the sickness got to the point where I was so in tune with this superstition that existed in my mind that I would walk up to a counter, put money down for scratch and win lottery tickets, and verbally say out loud, I know I'm buying these tickets to lose. Right now is my time to lose on these tickets. I know I'm not going to win. It was the weirdest thing. And I would knowingly spend the money and scratch them going, I know these, of course it's a loser. You know, my turn to win is going to come, you know, on Friday or on the next day. And sometimes I would have that same determination or that same clarity of that it was good. I would walk up and I would get a ticket and I would just say, I just don't know how much I'm going to win. And I'd go to the car and I'd scratch it and I would win. It was the weirdest thing. And it might have all just been BS. And it might just been in my head. But I would do it. And sometimes, like, I remember I would win $100. I won $500 a couple times. One of the times because somebody won it and they showed me the type of ticket they bought. And so I said, okay, I'll take a break from work. And I went and I bought that same ticket and I won. But, you know, I used to win so much that even now my in-laws want me to play the lottery. Like, they call me to pick numbers and stuff. Hey, I never said I had that kind of luck. I don't even know. I don't play like I used to. Because like I said, you know, yeah, I won more than I lost, but I got to the point where I'd know I'd be squandering my money. You know, it's kind of a sickness. But I cut my losses, you know, got out ahead. Quit while you're ahead is what they say. And I don't remember why we started talking about that. Oh yeah, because I'm collaborating with the universe. So, I mean, his stories, and I won't pretend to butcher them, but I do think, you know, there are people that are doing it, you know, and they're doing it well. And he's one of those that is very in tune with the things that he likes, the things that he wants to do. And he achieves at a high rate of success. And anybody that does operate on that level of consistent success, you should take note, I think, or at least be aware. I don't think it's just people that are destined to have any more success than anybody else. It's finding out those things that they do that allow them to tap into that frequency and achieve the things that they want to do. You know, some of it is having the courage to take chances, and I think it has something to do with that connection. I think it has something to do with that willingness to go up to the counter, and I'm using this as an analogy. I'm not saying I'm not caught up on the scratch and wins, but I'm saying sometimes you need to walk up to the counter and know that you're going to lose, but still try that day. You know, you don't always have that guarantee of success. Anyway, if you notice, I got a haircut. What does that mean, boys and girls? It means that we have an update to my visit to the hairdresser, to that haircut place. All right, first of all, the same lady was there at the haircut place this time. The one where she was getting huffy because I was trying to look up a coupon on my phone and she was being mean. That one. That's the lady where I walked in. I saw her and I was like, man, I don't want to go to her again. She didn't do a horrible job. She didn't do a bad job. But, you know, it rubbed me the wrong way when she was like gripping my head and being like, stop moving. And I'm like, I'm not moving, stupid. Like, I could not move less. I'm a statue staring at my phone, and the only thing that's moving is my finger swiping. So, anyway, there was, apparently there's a lot of kids getting off of school. Yes, where I go get my hair cut, there's an equal chance that the lady's going to cut my hair or a 10-year-old's. So her partner, there was another lady there, a younger girl. And the timing worked out to where I was going to go to her instead. And as I'm approaching her, a thought occurs to me. The lady has wonky bangs. There's few reasons why a hairstylist has wonky bangs. Either they don't know how to take care of themselves and they just, cut them to get them out of their face or something. Maybe they have bad taste in hairdressers, or they're super artistic and creative, right? And they just have this unique style, right? So she's got these like pigtails or something and wonky bangs. And that's the thought that goes through my head. So I get in the chair. She says, hey, so, because it comes up on their system. Do you want the same thing that you get? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I want the same thing, right? And I said, and if you want, you can, just go crazy, do what you want, right? Otherwise, right? She says, well, what are you trying? What exactly are you going for? Are you trying to like, oh, I get it. You're just doing a comb over. I said, what? Comb overs are for people that are okay, you know what? Yes, I think that's what I'm doing. But anyway, so she starts cutting my hair and doing her bit. And thank God, her wonky bangs was because she was an artist. She would stop and like size me up, and then she'd like flutter around, go to one side of my head and mess with these buzzers and scissors, and then jump to the other side. And it was fascinating. And before we started, I had the coupon. I was very proud, on my phone, ready to go, coupon. And I didn't show her, right? I didn't even bring it up. I kept it hidden, right? Because I know that other lady, she don't like coupons. So I hit it, but I was ready. I was going to be like, you want to see a lady? And then, for those of you who did not hear that on a former episode, I have a certain budget that I have for haircuts. Okay? Don't judge me. But I try to find coupons because it's not for me. It's not because I'm cheap or frugal. It's just that I want to tip the hairstylist, the hairdresser. I want to tip them a larger amount. So my thoughts are, if I can find a coupon, then more of my haircut budget can go to them for their tip. See? But when the lady is grabbing my head and saying, "Stop looking for coupons, cheapo," I'm like, okay, fine. But when I pay the full price of the haircut, it is your gratuity that suffers. Don't look at me. I tried. Anyway, so I thought she earned her tip because she really, at least put on a show, when she was going around my head and doing her things, and it at least gave me the impression that she cared, And when she did the mirror behind my head, there wasn't a patch that was darker than the rest that she tried to convince me that was the shape of my head. It looked even. I wanted to call the lady over and say, "See, lady, that's what it's supposed to look like in the back." But anyway, so you notice I get a little haircut. That's funny. It's all good. Yeah, I forgave her for calling my hairstyle a comb over. You know what I mean? I got to figure out what all that's about. But the other day, I got to thinking about stage fright. I've done a lot of shows in my time, right? Thousands at this point. I've played for empty rooms where it was me and the band. I remember one time we played this small, it was a full band, and we played this small bar. And the bartender was there. And then a lady was sitting at the bar. And we were playing our music. And then the lady walks across the dance area in between the bar and the stage, and she hands me a $20 bill. And it was quiet enough that she was able to just, walk across in between songs right in front of me and tell me that, here's $20. And she said, "Because you're still putting on a show and nobody's here." And I'm like, "Thank you, San Antonio. Good night." And she's like, "Here's $20 because you still put on a show and nobody's here." Anyway, but I played for nobody, and I played for, hundreds, thousands. I played for a lot of people, and never. Well, okay. So the first show I ever did, and I don't know if maybe I was 13. I was not in a band. I was helping a band. And I'd been practicing this song, which in retrospect, I don't even remember if I knew the whole song or if I just knew the first line, right? Because the long story of it was that it was some Catholic church um, daytime festival, right? And they were going to call me up and be like, hey, Mike's going to come up here and sing a song for you guys. You ready? All right. And then here I come. It was the first time I was ever going to perform in front of people. And I choked. The song starts. It was, I get triggered even thinking about the song. It was, Trickster was the band. It was like this 80s hair metal band. Not hair metal, but hair rock band. But kind of like on that cusp of when they were starting to kind of, I think he used to wear like sleep pants or something. I'll find a picture, put them up here for you, which I haven't done in a while, but it's only because I really haven't wanted to edit. Not because I don't want to edit, because I just don't want to question what I put out. Okay? I feel like it's more authentic if I just record it and post it. And that way somebody can call me up and say, dude, did you know you said this? No, I didn't. No, I said that. Anyway, but I'll try to put a picture of this guy. He used to wear sleep pants, or commonly known as pajamas. He would wear pajamas. It was a fashion thing back then. I used to do it too. I don't care. But and the song starts with like the singing, but the song started and I choked. I couldn't sing. I looked at the singer that was there, which was another cousin of mine. Ron was there. Ronnie was there. And I ended up being a bass player and singing backup for his band that next year or whatever, for a short duration, which one day we'll have to share stories about that, and I'll show you my pictures from then. Anyway, but he ended up having to step up and sing because I couldn't do it. But I got to thinking about that feeling of stage fright, because it's so foreign to me. But and I've done some pretty embarrassing things. Okay, I'll give you an example. On stage. So just this past week, I mean, you would never imagine me doing a version of Love Shack with two guys with guitars, right? But there was a group there. It's like 12:30 at night. Hardly anybody else is in the bar. And they throw money in the jar and they say, it's this person's birthday. Could you sing, Love Shack? And I looked straight into the guy's eyes and I said, are you telling me you want me and this guy to sing? Like, you look at me with a guitar and you think B-52s, right? Is that what you're telling me? The next thing you know, I'm heading down the Atlanta. But I worked it. I made them sing it. The girl's birthday. I made the whole bit and whatever. But I mean, it just goes to show that my threshold for embarrassment it's not there. It's not. I'm not saying it's non-existent sometimes, but I used to get all cringy and not wanting to do certain things, like if they requested certain songs, and I had no idea. I mean, when you're doing cover music and they ask you for a song and they throw, money in your jar, you should do it, or you should try, or if they're determined to hear that song. We've started songs and I swear I knew the song in my mind. And then we'll start it and I'll just blank. Like, I don't know what the melody line is for the verse. And like, what is it talking about here in the lyrics? Like, how is that even? how is that phrasing even possible with these words? And wah, 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 the song ends, like we have to cut it short because it was just garbage. And there's no point in continuing the song. It sounds like garbage. I've had plenty of those, enough to be like, well, you know what? That's the worst that can happen. And it's happened. And I'm still alive. Everything's fine. But sometimes embarrassment prevents you from doing things, that are catastrophic for your career. But I'm just saying, there's a freedom in being able to do it. But I got to thinking about, I was in a speech class in college, maybe about, I don't know, 5 years ago, somewhere around there. I was doing a speech course for my core curriculum, and I remember legitimately this was the last time that I experienced stage fright. And it started, speech class began, and the professor's talking about like how speech class is different than performances that you have, right? And I was like kind of like feeling like this sort of I don't know, anxiety building up, or like experiencing it on like I remember like on day one it was, all right, we're gonna go around the room and everybody's gonna introduce themselves and just give a little bit about your background very quickly, right? And listen, every class that you do in college, well, I shouldn't say it like that because I don't know, I can't speak for all things, but a lot of times there's icebreakers or introductions in different classes. It never hits you like that. Never. Never hits me that way. But there I am in the speech class, and they're like, all right, get ready. And then it wasn't too bad. I just was like, hey, it's me. Long walks on the beach, favorite color is red. I don't know, whatever. It was just quick and not too bad. And then, but I could sense that it was something that was, and then, there was a few times later in class, they said, okay, read your lines. There's going to be a subject in there, and I'm going to randomly pick somebody to say the lines out loud. And then I had this moment of dread, like, don't pick me. So anyway, I started feeling like this was going to be an issue with this particular class. And a lot of it was hype, because she would say like, okay, well, we're going to be having 3 speeches this year. And so be ready for this, and this, right? And the keys to being prepared and to rehearse, etc., right? But I remember on the speech number 1, and I remember getting up, and there was a girl who went right before me, and she goes up to the front on the podium, sets her note cards down, and kind of does this weird like chuckle, like a kind of like a giggle to try to break what was happening. Whew, it's freaking me out just thinking about it. And I watched her begin. She starts talking, and then her hands are shaking. Her hands start she starts, and her hands are going, and her voice starts getting a little shaky, and then she's just looking at the cards with that smirk smile that she had. And somebody from the class says, "You got this," which I think makes it harder if you're that person. And her eyes started to glaze over and tear up, and she said something like, "I can't breathe." Oh my God. Oh, it was messing me up. Okay. No, and then here I'm supposed to go next. But she's freaking out, and she takes a minute, and then she like she just powers through it, you know. Talk about somebody needing a hug. She needed a hug. She needed something. Maybe a shot of tequila or something. She needed something. And then it was my turn, right? I had a thumb drive that had my slides. And so I go over to the computer, and I was like, as I'm getting ready to get up out of the chair, I say to myself, "Come on, man. You've performed live and sang songs and gyrated and moved and done your bit and put yourself out there for judgment with your own original stuff. This is nothing, right?" I mean, and look, on a side note, in my years of working jobs, I've had to give speeches a bajillion times. I mean, auditoriums full of employees just listening to what I have to say about whatever, quarterly meetings or, right? So anyway, I go up to the computer to load my slides, and then it starts hitting me. I can't breathe, and I'm like, I don't want people to know. So I have my thumb drive in my hand, and I'm pretending like it's not plugging in all the way. Like, yeah, just hold on a minute. And I'm clicking the mouse, and they can probably see what I'm, this stupid, it's probably projecting what I'm doing down here, playing it off, doing little circles with the mouse, and being like, I don't know, I'm pressing buttons. And I just kept saying, get it together. Like, you have to figure this out. I think the best thing about that class that day was that everybody was dying. Nobody was okay. And at the end of mine, I finished the speech and I go, woo! And nobody clapped or acknowledged or said anything. Everybody was just in their own nightmare of. And I talked to my professor about it afterwards. I said, yeah, I've done all these things. I don't get it. Why this is such a pain in my ass? I don't understand it. And to her credit, she pointed out that she's a professor of speech, right? Oh, and she taught other things, but she would go to conferences from other professionals that would teach people to be motivational speakers, to be people that, And she said, nobody judges more than when you're in a class about speech. You see what I'm saying? So it made sense. You feel the most judged when you know that your speech is being, that you are being critiqued by the people that are listening to you. It just changes the dynamic. I remember once I was in one of those employee meetings, and I was trying to say, Sun Tzu says, right? He's that Chinese like, no, is it Jap? Oh, shit. Hold on, this is so good. I'm gonna do. Oh, this is great. 3%. I'll get it. I'm only laughing because it's the same thing that I was talking about there. Yes, he was a Chinese philosopher. I was trying to picture him, and I wanted to say for some reason I was picturing like a samurai, but it wasn't. It was actually he had a lot of he was the one that wrote Art of War and had all the different ideas about tactical advice, and and so a lot of people quote him when having to do with tactics in business and things like that, being cutthroat, and or like what steps to get advantage over your opposition. Anyway, so I'm having one of these big meetings with my employees, and I said General So, like General So's kitchen, you know what I mean, chicken. Yeah, talk about humbling experiences, and they're like, "Do you mean Sun Tzu?" And I was like, "What'd I say?" Anyway, but there I go, setting myself up for it. By bringing up Sun Tzu like as if I know him, and then not knowing if he's Chinese or not. Oh, that's perfect. But that's good. So funny. But yeah, so I don't know why I talked about that, but anyway, this is one of the more random ones I enjoyed today. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Appreciate you listening. If you made it this far, please comment. Send me an email at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If it's your first time, God help you. I'm trying to put them on a playlist on YouTube so that you go back and listen to. But I know if you go to Spotify, it'll give you the full list of all the episodes if you choose to just listen and not watch. Yeah, but thank you again for listening, and I will see you next time, okay? Take care of yourself.